Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about T-55 from Miniart, and it is molded in 1/35 scale. I guess there is no surprise in that. As you can see, that's a Czechoslovak production version. And as far as you can see, this is not an interior kit, so basically we get all the external elements but no interior, and some modders will be happy to hear this because they don't get any unnecessary extras for them, and therefore they get a cheaper kit, a bit more accessible and maybe a quicker to build model. And here we have a commercial sample, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. We are going to open it and check what is actually supplied here in this box. So first of all, box size is typical, it is quite heavy. Here you can see comparison with my hand. We have really beautiful box art, and also you can see here short list of the features. This is not a toy. There are 6 decal options, PE parts included. Next, on the side we have some safety information and also address of the manufacturer, and you can notice that it's pretty much standard for Miniart. And on the other side we have, just give me a second, 6 marking options as promised. So we will see them in the assembly manual, so I don't think it's worth spending time right now checking these tiny images. This is a top opening box, and it should be a bit difficult to open due to the tight fitment of the top lid. So just give me a second. I'm trying to remove it with 2 hands and still not as easy as it might seem to be. That's why I'm doing it off the table, because otherwise we will spend even more time trying to open it. And in the meantime, let me remind you about our special YouTube membership. So we opened the YouTube membership program, and you can join this membership by choosing one of the levels, and it will actually give you certain benefits. You'll find the join button somewhere here, so just click it and you will be able to choose which one you would like to submit or subscribe. So here we have all the plastic sprues. As you can see, that's a really tight fitment, so be ready. This is gonna be quite a long video review, just like with any other T-55 kit from Miniart. And all these sprues, they come in sealed plastic bag, so I will show you how it looks like. Here it is. As you can see, huge bunch of sprues, and this is not an interior kit, by the way, so even more impressive. And now I'm going to open the, let's say, main plastic bag. I will do it with scissors, and we will check big plastic sprues. Then gradually we will move to other plastic sprues, and I hope you won't fall asleep during display of all these plastic sprues, because the amount of them is really impressive. And I know some of you don't like the sound of the tearing plastic bags, but we can't avoid it if we want to do the, let's say, honest video reviews where we open everything together. So here is this plastic bag with large plastic sprues, and I'm going to take out this tiny plastic bag with clear plastic sprue, and again I will have to use scissors in order to open it. And frankly speaking, I'm not sure why Miniart keeps pressing on this type of packaging, because obviously it's not that, I would say, safe for tiny parts. Often we get some broken parts. So if you have a chance to check everything before purchase, I would recommend to do so, because otherwise you might end up with broken parts. And customer service is really nice in Miniart, but it's better just to open the box and take a careful look. So here we have the decal sheet, and as you can notice, we have all necessary symbols here. Of course it comes from Decograph, so printing quality looks really nice. I don't have anything to say here. Next we go on with clear plastic sprues, so here they are, and these look really nice. They will be used for sure. I mean, we have all the periscopes and clear parts, and the only thing which I can mention here is that masks are not included, so if you would like to cover all this stuff, you will have to do it with your own tools and hands, because there is nothing included in the kit, not even a template. Next we go on with the large Miniart envelope, so just give me a second to open it. Here we have big PE thread, unpainted one, so it's not as big as the for the kit with interior, but still we have a lot of external parts, so you have to cope with them. And I really recommend to apply all of them because model will only benefit from this. Okay, next we go on with first. Actually, let me remove all the plastic screws and then we will be checking them one by one. Okay, so what do we have here? First of all, we get this interconnection between various frames. We can zoom out a bit. So here you can see turret parts, and if you saw some of the previous T-55 or T-54 releases from this brand, you will be quite familiar with what we have here. I mean, it's pretty much the same parts division. And next we have this plastic sprue with more of the turret parts. Nothing special, but parts look really nice. And it is easy to assemble the turret. I still have the unfinished build of T-54, but it is coming together, so I hope I will be able to show it to you soon. Next, here we have this large plastic sprue with parts for the lower hull section, because we have these side panels and also top parts of the side shells. We also have some internal elements, but don't be surprised, these are needed for an extra rigidity of the whole construction, so you will have to use them. You won't be able to avoid it, but you don't have to paint them because they will be barely visible in the tank, so they are just internal elements, as I said a few seconds ago. Next we have this plastic sprue with more of internal elements. So previous side panels were designed for one of the version of the tank. Obviously we'll use only one pair. Here we also have some panels for the top hull section. This, for example, is a glacis plate, and it is quite thick, and thickness, I guess, is used in order to have the right size for interior kit, but because we do not have any interior parts, we don't need it. Next we have a lot of small sprues. So here comes the funny part, because, for example, here for suspension arms we have 3 identical plastic frames. We can zoom in, and of course you have to make sure not to lose any of this, because otherwise you won't have any spare parts and you'll have to fix it with your own tools and hands. Here next we go on with a pair of plastic sprues for external hull detailing. A lot of tiny pieces. Here you can see comparison with my fingertip. So in some cases you might even use the tweezers, because with bare fingers it will be really tricky to get them into the right spot. Next we go on with more parts for the lower hull section. And be careful with thin parts, because in some spots they might be easy to break, so you have to think through how to be sure to get your part intact, let's say. Next we have this sprue with parts for the stowage boxes. Here they are. Each should be assembled out of separate panels. Of course we also have separate hatches for this tank. So if you would like to place a figure, you get it covered with these openable hatches. Okay. Next we have again interconnection between various sprues. These are 2 wide sprues, so we have to zoom out again. Here you can see various parts for stowage boxes. Also we have parts for external hull detailing. As you can see, these are rear panels. And again we have separate hatches here and there, even though, for example, in engine area we won't need them because there is no engine included, so you will have to, you know, keep the whole bay closed, let's say. Next we go on with this plastic sprue. It's actually the same type as we saw before. Okay. Another sprue comes with various panels for stowage boxes. If we flip it over, inside you can see that we have special guiding elements or guiding design which should help you with proper alignment of these panels together. Okay. Next we have 3 identical plastic frames for these storage boxes, or actually these are fuel tanks, sorry. So I always thought since my childhood that these are storage boxes, but it turned out to be fuel tanks. Well, it's sort of storage boxes for the fuel. So next we go on with a large grey plastic sprue. Here we have hull parts, obviously. It's a floor for the lower hull section. Also we have front mud guards, we have also some parts for interior, but no worries, you won't have to install them because they won't be used on the non-interior version of this tank. Next we continue with, again, huge amount of small sprues. For example, here we have road wheels. Again, we can zoom in because this will be mainly small sprues. And you can notice that wheels are molded as a one-piece parts. There are no painting templates whatsoever provided, so you'll have to be careful while painting this stuff. I mean, everybody wants to get the nice paint finish, so that's why you will have to keep track of that. Next we go on with idlers and also drive sprockets. In some spots you can notice the flash, so you will have to use sharp knife in order to clean it. Okay. Next we have 2 small sprues with parts for the lower hull section. Here they are. Okay, next we go on with one-piece main barrel, and that's really cool because you won't have to deal with separate halves. I mean, some modders are always afraid to glue together 2 halves, so they just resort to full metal option, but here you get it as a one-piece part, so just carefully separate it and you'll be good to go. And that's a really nice feature of this kit. I remember I was installing this part on my kit and I did not have any issue whatsoever. Next we go on with 4 identical plastic frames with minor parts. Here you'll find various elements both for fuel tanks, also for towing cables and for hull detailing. So everything looks cool, but these parts are really small, as you can notice in comparison with my fingers. Okay. Next we go on with fuel tanks which will be installed on the rear. Of course nobody, I would say, makes you installing these fuel tanks because, as you know, some tanks were operating without these rear barrels, so it's up to you whether you would like to get them on your tank. And next we have 2 sprues with more fuel tanks, and actually these are also Pioneer tools and some elements for the hull detailing. There are minor amounts of flash around small parts, so be sure to clean them as well. Okay, and last but not the least is this interconnection between 2 wide sprues. So let's zoom out again. You can notice also the foam here because it's used in order to cover this special panel for the exhaust section because it comes with the thin legs. And I mean, overall amount of thin parts on this spruce is really impressive. So some of them might be replaced with metal wire, for example this fuel lines. Some of them will have to be installed, so keep track of this and use the plastic saw in order to separate them, then you'll be able to keep them intact and avoid accidental damage. Next we go on with this plastic bag. So here you can see a lot of small parts, and why? It's because we have here spare, actually separate track links and also some of the suspension parts. So I have to use scissors again, so just give me a second. And of course you have to make sure not to lose any of these sprues. That's a bit of nightmare when you start to build because, I mean, you have to keep track of all these small frames, and maybe I will be able to show you one small bonus, so just give me a second. So First of all, we have some interior panels. They will be again used for some extra rigidness of the whole construction. So make sure to install them on your tank. We also have a bit bigger sprue with wider panels, which will be also installed in the hull. So just give me a second. I need to remove it. You can also notice the thin section or thin wiring section here, and for example here as well. So it is easy to break while working with this part, and that's why I will recommend to pay attention to this stuff, because later it will be really tricky to fix it. Next we also go on with road wheels, which are supplied on several sprues. They also come with the torsion bars. So here you can see them. As previous ones, they come as a one-piece parts. So as I said, there are no templates for painting, and you can also note the minor amount of flash in these cutouts, so you have to clean it with a sharp knife. Here you can see them from the other side. What is really cool here is that we have some pre-molded details on the rubber parts. That's something what is not available in any other kit on the market, and that's really cool. I really appreciate such attention to tiny details in Miniart kits. Next we go on with track parts, and that's actually what I was talking about. So here we have the separate track links, and of course they might be handy in I would say various conditions. So maybe you would like to build a diorama with broken tracks, maybe you would like to have more or less convincing finishing on your tank. So these parts will be obviously easier and quicker to paint and weather. And I would like to show you the proof that I'm working on the build of the T-55. So here you can see these tracks. They're not glued yet, but you can see that this dry fit track links, they hold together, and here you can see them from the other side. Of course they're not flexible in this state. I would rather recommend to use liquid glue and then bend it around suspension elements, but that's really nice. I would say inclusion into the kit. You don't have to pay anything extra, but still you get a high quality parts which are on par with some accessory sets made out of metal. So basically it saves you some money which you usually spend on accessory sets in metal or maybe plastic as well. Next we go on with this plastic sprue with various accessories for the turret. Nothing special, I would say, in a good sense, because all these parts are just fine. Next we also have this white plastic sprue with more of the hull panels. Let's zoom out. Here you can see them. Okay. And one more, last but not the least, is this sprue with machine gun parts. I'm trying to remove it, so just give me a second. So here it is. As for the machine gun, I would say it is okay for out-of-the-box build, but obviously if you would like to have more on your tank, you will have to resort for some resin kit. Even though this one is quite detailed, still there are some minor things which should be corrected, and it's just easier to get an proper aftermarket set with a metal barrel. Okay, and the next step is to check the assembly manual, obviously, so we zoom out a bit. And here we have a typical Miniart brochure. As you can see, it comes printed in color. We also have short list of the features. Next we open it, and here we have two marking options from what I can see. Next we continue with the parts map. Note that unused parts are not marked, so keep track of what you're using for your build, because here amount of parts is really crazy and you might use some wrong parts accidentally. Next we start assembly process with the lower hull section and suspension parts, so it will be quite an interesting process. And by the way, here you can notice that you can interchange between torsion bars or just the short arms for the suspension, so it's up to you. If you want a movable suspension, obviously you have to resort for a full torsion bar assembly. Next we continue with assembly of the side panels and also top panels, armor panels for the hull. Then when everything is closed, we assemble the headlamps. Also here you install PE parts or PE meshes for the engine section. Here we installed the side skirts and more of the panels for the engine compartment. Here you have to combine PE parts with the mud guards. That's really cool because you get attention even to these areas which are barely visible on the finished model. Next we continue with stowage boxes and spare tracks. Here you can see fuel lines for these fuel tanks. As I said, you can easily replace them with metal wire if you will be able to copy these clamps as well. Next we have these fuel drums on the rear and log as well. And next we have two towing cables. Here we install road wheels, which can be movable by the way, but it's up to you. And frankly speaking, I don't see a point in having movable parts on a scale model. Next, here we assemble the turret. As you can see, there are some interior parts, but they won't be visible on the finished version. They're just, I would say, a standard part of the interior kit which is needed to get the main gun into the place. Next, we continue with details on the turret, and it's really detailed, so do not miss any small parts, and there are plenty of them. As you can see, we even have tarp in these PE belts. A machine gun gets assembled, then turret gets installed on the main hull, and basically you are ready to go. There are a few things to install, 74 steps to perform, and next we go on with third marking option, fourth marking option, the same which was on the box art by the way. Here we have fifth one, and of course sixth is here. So it's a Syrian Arab Army 2013-2014. And all in all, we have a quite impressive T-55 kit, and it should be already available. You can get it in Modelimex webshop, for example. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such a release here in the comment section below. If you like this video, don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!